Is this my lucky break? I hate these words, my lucky break. Finally, life is going to give me a break. Finally, it's my turn to get lucky like those other guys. No, it's never anybody's turn to get lucky. You know what turn it is? It's everybody's turn to suffer like bitches and bleed like fucking dogs on the street. That's what kind of turn it is for everybody all the fucking time. You should always ask yourself, what would a serf do? And then don't do it. You must know this serf inside out, like your favorite character in a 200 episode soap opera. He is your shit consultant, the person who always advises you wrong, but you still need to keep next to you so you can systematically do the opposite of what he tells you. See, my dad was my shit consultant. You visualize the serf walking with you, saying his opinion. You watch his face when he's trying to make a decision and fathom the forces that animate him. He is your worst enemy, and that's why you have to keep him close. Now, most people are serfs because they are evolutionarily ancient, evolutionarily successful, and evolutionarily stable. Now, when I say successful, that means in an ancestral environment, which is very different from the environment that you operate in today. A serf has poor impulse control. He is governed by fear and greed. He needs satisfaction immediately, no matter how small. This fits into the whole thinking small versus thinking big. See, a serf doesn't have a choice in the matter because he needs to get something right now. So only small things are open to him. A serf does not believe that their future self is the same person as their current self. If you look it up on Google, this is the whole diachronic personality versus episodic personality. It goes right to the very bottom of a person's self-structure, whether they deep down believe that they're the same person who they will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or whether they think, no, I am the guy that's here today and the other guy that's coming later, fuck him. And if that's how he thinks, because he's episodic, then he's always gonna fuck the guy that's coming next. So by this definition, most guys are coming next, except t equals 0. So most of them are gonna be fucked. So if your timeline is one in which you constantly somehow happen to be fucked, then maybe it's time to cut the pattern. Now, for a serf, anything that is not easy is out of the picture because they just can't see it as real. A serf believes in tricks. That is because hard things are incomprehensible to him. So if somebody else is doing something that he can't do, the answer to that couldn't possibly be because it's hard and the guy worked hard. No, it has to be a trick. It has to be some scam. And because he really believes that tricks exist, he will always fall prey to scams. Because whenever somebody comes around and says, hey, you will get rich quick with this thing, you will make $849 a week doing nothing, that just clicks. That's the way he thinks about things. So he will go for it. Now, a serf can only process what he can see and touch, only what's in front of him. For this reason, he is limited to opportunities that are one step away. He will not follow a plan comprising multiple steps to open up an opportunity. He can only do things that are one step ahead. Now, because everybody's like that, he's really in competition with the whole fucking world. So even things that are one step ahead are super, super difficult to get. He almost never gets anything, frankly. Now, a serf cannot make his own pleasure. He has to buy pleasure from somebody else. Because of this, he is addicted to getting this pleasure from someone else. He's also addicted to a particular kind of sensory pleasure, whether it's food, comfort, gambling, or sex. He uses this addiction to escape from the sadness of his or her powerlessness, because a serf, a person who has the type of psychology that I have described, adapted for an ancestral environment, incapable to produce and execute long-term plans, susceptible to tricks, scams, to the mirage of easy gratification. This kind of person cannot have any power. So he lives in a state of despair, of powerlessness. And he tries to escape from that with addictions, to satisfy these addictions on a regular basis, which he must always do to prevent himself from looking at the misery that is really at the bottom of his existence. He has to make irreversible decisions, put a mortgage on his house, get financing, get indebted, buy a car, buy things that after it's very hard to get rid of, and that substantially limit not only your freedom, but they also limit your ability to get something better. What I mean by that, I don't want to be confusing. If you have a job, for example, then you use that salary to buy things and to continue to pay for things. Now you can't quit the job anymore because you're paying for this stuff, you see. So then you can't become self-employed because you need the money on a monthly basis to pay off your shit. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. And a serf is also addicted to the way he's making money right now. For him, going one step back to make 2 or 3 steps forward does not exist. Then at some point he shifts his attention to somebody else, maybe family and children. Now, I'm not saying that having a family is bad, and for sure if you do have a family, then a good portion of your attention should be devoted to them. But on the other hand, it's almost like for a lot of people, finding someone else to shift your attention to is just another type of escape, you see, because when you have a child, the child's needs are much simpler than your own. And so it's far easier to feel like you're worth something, like you're getting something done for the child, than it would be to fix your own life. I think ultimately, if you get into this partly because you're trying to escape your own satisfaction, which is a game that's too hard for most people, then that will really prevent you also from taking care of your family, because essentially you've got nothing to teach them because you yourself are not satisfied. And it causes neglect as well, because the same laziness that you show in your own personal life gets reflected on the things that you're doing for others as well. So the idea of being incompetent at satisfying your own personal needs and at the same time taking very good care of other people seems to be some kind of contradiction, you see. For example, what we often see is that the father will provide financially for the family, but then he will not be there emotionally for them. We all know a father who is putting food on the table, so to speak, or putting food on his family, like George Bush says. But at the same time, he might not be worrying about the children's mental health or about avoiding fights with the spouse in front of them. Or he might not have the necessary leftover energy at the end of the day to deal with school issues such as bullying. So that's what I mean. So to characterize the mind of a serf in the most encapsulated, fundamental way, there is a fundamental weakness, laziness, an irresistible urge to escape pain at any cost, and to create a life made of distractions, addiction to immediate gratification, and these are all characteristics of a serf. Now, for the most part, the kind of person I have described is extremely gregarious, because his need to obtain gratification immediately brings him to try to extract this kind of gratification from social interaction, which requires very little investment. All you have to do is flap, open your mouth. And so most serfs, when you see them, they're extremely friendly and pleasant people. Until you ask them to do something, or until you depend on them, then you see the situation changing a little bit, or until they're crack cocaine that they're addicted to, their immediate pleasure, their gratification, is withheld. And then they have a 180 degrees flip. Now, it's not so common, but some serfs are actually pissed off, they're angry. And we consider them betas, but I see them as being in a fundamentally better condition than the gregarious type of serf, because at least that anger can be easily turned into energy and motivation for change. But a happy, amicable serf with a smile on his face, constantly plastered on his face, that's a hopeless serf. That we're looking at a stable attractor, so to speak. Now, as far as business goes, a serf expects the environment to give him an answer. He doesn't make something work, he tries something. Because as we said, everything is a trick. It either works or not. And he's out looking for the best trick. He tries shit and sees how it goes. Does the trick work is the answer he's looking for. And is this my lucky break? I hate these words, my lucky break. Finally, life is gonna give me a break. Finally, it's my turn to get lucky like those other guys. No, it's never anybody's turn to get lucky. You know what turn it is? It's everybody's turn to suffer like bitches and bleed like fucking dogs on the street. That's what kind of turn it is for everybody all the fucking time. So he buys scratchies and lottery tickets because he believes this time. Now, getting to the end here, but a serf cannot overcome the emotional investment he's already made and make bold decisions. He has to maintain coherence with prior decisions at all times. So he really gets stuck in these dead-end sort of life threads from which he cannot recover. And change is literally beyond his reach. He also cannot take risks, and this is really common for most people, but for the kind of serf I've described who's addicted to immediate gratification and entertainment, risk is a far worse proposition. Taking risks is a far worse proposition because he risks losing his crack cocaine. He risks losing his ongoing low-level gratification that is fueling his addiction. And if he loses that, then he's just faced with the blatant misery of his lack of agency, and that cannot happen. So for him, it's maybe 1,000 times harder to take risks with what he's got. Now that you know how a serf thinks, always keep one in your mind and see how he wants to behave, and then always do the opposite. If you've been able to extract any value out of this video, please subscribe, reshare, tattoo it on your vagina, whatever you need to do. Peace.